James Harden was 1 for 6 in the fourth quarter. 0 for 3 from 3. All right, James Harden hit one basket in the final 30 minutes of the game. And Doc has watched James Harden, and I've been a Harden fan, but Doc has watched James Harden dribble, pound, and the ball movement has stopped. And everybody's watching James Harden. And if you know, that's why Doc said, well, they didn't get many shots. Because it's kind of becoming all Harden one-on-one, all Embiid one-on-one to a large degree. Obviously, they're still running some two-man game and stuff like that. But that is what Doc's talking about. And James Harden, I know a lot of people will look at this and say, oh, how could Doc do it again? That's what destroyed the relationship with Ben Simmons. Doc calling him out. But here's the thing. What is James Harden going to do? Really? Like, is he going to quit, pout, and sulk and quit on a third straight team? A second straight contender? He can't. If he were to do that, it would destroy his reputation. All right? James Harden also wants, as you know, Nick, he wants the huge contract extension, right? The 4 years, $220-something million that he'll probably want to sign at the end of this year. And so he's got to take this in stride, look in the mirror and say, you know what? I haven't been delivering. I'm a better player than this. Let me get back to playing James Harden basketball. Because, look, the last 6 games, he has been horrible in the fourth quarter. He's looking like the Harden that wasn't playing up to his ability with the Nets. Look at this. Last 6 games, 4 for 19. That's horrible. He's a superstar. And so I have no problem, Nick, with what Doc said. I hope Harden takes it the right way, because the way he's playing right now, this team is not going anywhere in the playoffs.
And if they don't go anywhere in the playoffs, then I don't think Doc Rivers is going to be the coach next year. And I think Doc probably knows that, and so he might be feeling it a bit. This was a terrible loss for Philly.
Agreed.
I've got to keep the same energy that I had for Brooklyn almost losing to the Pistons, to Philly actually losing to the Pistons, and doing so in horrific fashion. I mean, what was it, 29-15 in the fourth quarter? Another blown fourth quarter lead for the Philadelphia 76ers. So all that's awful, and I think Doc is feeling it. With that said, Wilds, tell me if you think I'm reaching here. I don't think Doc was saying the struggles were more James Harden. I think if you listen to that quote, he's actually talking about who was taking the shots. Because he says, well, the bench unit didn't really get a lot of shots there. It was more James. So I don't think Doc was saying James. Now, it's true that the shots James was making or taking, he wasn't making. It's true that James was struggling. But I don't think Doc, when he was saying that, actually thought he was analyzing James's play. I think he thought he was giving just a cogent, recap of shot distribution. And I think Twitter took it as a shot at James, and given the stuff with Ben, all of that. But I bet you this morning, Doc Rivers is a little irritated, because I don't think that's what he was trying to do. Now, Brew is saying he would be fine with it if it was what he was trying to do. I would not think it's a good idea. I would not think that is the road Doc wants to travel down right now, is calling out another star. Because it doesn't, listen, we can't, because we don't live in a utopic society.
They're too sensitive?
No. Yeah.
I mean, was what he said that bad?
No, but again,
Ben Simmons is too sensitive.
Here's the thing.
We all know that.
Okay. Well, I guess my point is, you can either do what should be able to, you can either operate, I should be able to do something, or you can operate in the reality of, maybe I should be able to do something, but it's not going to help, it's not going to have any positive effect. So I think Doc knows publicly calling out one of his players who is struggling is not going to have a positive effect, which is one of the reasons, Wilds, I don't think that's what he was intending to do, even if that's the actual impact of what he said.
Sure. I think you're right. And I think Doc Rivers could have gone a step further. I think Doc Rivers could have pulled up this graphic if Dusty was on his staff. Maybe Dusty, hey, think about it, Dust. I'll write you a nice cover letter if you want to. Final 30-45, 4 points. 1 for 11, 0 for 6. Like, yeah, I think you're allowed to say James has been struggling. I think that's totally not only within his right. It's like he should be more aggressive in calling James out. So after a bad game, he doesn't go to a birthday party or release highlight videos of the assist record or whatever he was sending out in a highlight video for. The only caveat, Broussard, I'll make a small turn here. Do you think that Doc bears some responsibility that the Sixers offense runs like, I don't know, an AAU team with like one kid with one D1 prospect? Like, hey, let's give it to Brian. Let's see what Brian can. Hey, fire it up, Brian. It's your ball. Do you think that Doc bears some responsibility that sometimes the Sixers offense seems so one-dimensional when James is out there?
Absolutely. I mean, Doc's coaching the team. There is no doubt about it. He's got to emphasize the importance of ball movement. Harden's got to be dribbling and with a purpose, not just pounding the ball, showing off his handle. All right, and when he first got there, he was doing that, and Embiid obviously was thriving. Embiid's still putting up numbers, but a lot of it's ISO, one-on-one. You do your thing, I do my thing. Yep. And Doc's got to keep emphasizing ball movement because they also got – I mean, we know Maxey can score. We know Tobias Harris can score. They've got other good players. So, yeah, a lot of that's on Doc. And I'll say this, Nick. I get where you're coming from, Nick, because you're right. A lot of these guys are sensitive. But if you can't take that, it wasn't like Doc was pounding on the table. James Harden's got to be better. This is ridiculous. It was none of that. He simply mentioned a fact, as Wild said. If James Harden or any other NBA player, for that matter, cannot take that, you're not winning a championship. You don't have the fortitude.
I get that.
You don't have the courage. You don't have the heart to win a championship if your coach can't say what Doc Rivers just said. I'm sorry. I mean, Doc wasn't harsh.
I understand that. I just think there is a difference between public and private criticism. And I think everybody agrees to some degree. I think that there is an argument to be made that in the film session, you should have the right to go as hard at anybody as you want as the head coach of the team. But publicly, I know Wilds has killed him for it all week, do the Frank Vogel. He's the MVP. He's the best. You know what I mean? Publicly, always support. Privately, and then so I just think there's an argument for that. That's all I'm saying. I know we have more on this later. I just think there's an argument that public versus private is a big difference there.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.